To 11:31. 4 members have joined.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, madam. Fine, even I have joined. So please do
Thank you so much, sir.
please do let me know when I have to put my videos on. Okay, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Thankful. And keep it up. It's a good organization. And the topics are also good.
Thank you.
Pleasure, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
I switch off my video, but audio would be on, madam.
Yes, sir.
अरे क्या हो तो अब इसमें इसका प्रिंट आउट दे दीजिए खाली टुडेज लर्निंग और ये दोनों फ्लायर्स है ना बस टेबल पे फ्लायर है तो हो जाएगा You're talking about diverse learners and their needs, no?
Okay. மேம் நீங்க ஸ்பீச் கொடுங்க வருதான்னு எடுக்கணும்னு கேட்குறேன். ஸ்பீச் கொடுங்க கேட்க வாய்ஸ் வருதான்னு.
ஆனா இப்ப லைவ்ல போயிடுங்க.
லைவ்ல ரீட் பண்ணலாம். எது பண்றாங்க நீங்க பண்றது எல்லாமே ஸ்கிரீன் கிட்ட இருக்கு. அதுதான்
ஓட நான் வரேன். எடுக்கல. அந்த ரூம்ல. வந்ததுல எல்லாத்தையும் சிக்னல் வரும். சரி.
Good morning, all. We are going to start the national webinar on diverse learners and their needs in short while. As you all know, this webinar is going to be for 2 days, today and tomorrow. It's going to have a session from 10 to 1:30. I request all the participants to stay on. We'll be joining you all shortly with the inaugural note. So we have our all resource person joining in. Dear participants, this session is going to be really enriching with information on diverse learners and their needs. We have experts from different institutions are going to be presenting for us.
तो मैं ऑन होता कॉन्फ्रेंस में मुझे टेबल पे दे दीजिए वो क्या है ना अमरनाथ सर को बोल दीजिए singing out moderately well. Another 34.1% of them singing out moderately not so well. But another set of people, that is 13% of them or 15% of them, who would be having some amusia stuff. That means they would be very, very odd in terms of their rhythm. Similarly, if we take handwriting skills, it will be the same. If we take auditory skills, it will be the same. If we take movement skills, may it be running, may it be jumping, it would be the same. So, in the society, by default, it's how it has been created. Every developmental skill would be spread across. We call a group of people mean plus minus 1 standard deviation, which is 68.3% of the population, to be so-called typically developing, or earlier we used to call them normal. And the entire facility of the society is programmed towards addressing the needs of this 68.3% of so-called normal or typically developing population. Now, when we say there are people with disabilities, then we are referring to, let's say, some people who have poor skills in terms of processing, poor skills as compared to, or lesser skills as compared to the normal population in terms of auditory skills, in terms of linguistic skills, in terms of movement, in terms of vision. That's what we call those people as having people with disabilities. And now we have added up new categories as well, like specific learning disabilities, where we start taking in the processing which needs to be happening out in the mind, and other terms like working memory has also come up, because everything seems to be normal, but the moment a particular type of a task is given to them, we find that these group of children, may it be ADHD, may it be specific learning disabilities, may it be children with autism spectrum disorder, they cannot attend to the task appropriately and cannot respond out in a way which is so-called normal. So a concept of working memory is also coming in. So in general, when we have to understand out the topic diverse learners, we have to understand that we are trying to address the left corner of the bell-shaped curve, where we say that certain skills, certain developmental skills, may it be vision, may it be hearing, may it be working memory, may it be attention, these skills which develop out in a particular way have not developed out adequately in some of the children. So this is the group which we are addressing to, because the set of facilities which are available in the society are maximally addressed to this mean plus minus 1 standard deviation, that is 68.3% of the population. So this is the first concept which I wanted to speak about in the inauguration, that when we talk about diverse needs, we are talking about the 15% of the population which is towards the left of the bell-shaped curve. The other side would be having gifted, some or the other they would be responding. To go further, how do learners actually learn things? Learners learn things, special educators, no need to say, there's a VAKP method in which we say they learn visually, B, auditorily, A, kinesthetically through joint sensation, K, and P, actually. That's how they learn out, and that's how learning has to be put into them. So just putting in stimuli would not be enough. They need to process it as well. So when we talk about diverse learners, I'm not talking about the COVID situation now. When we talk about diverse learner, we ensure that a person who is not capable of visually processing out certain skills needs to be given the information auditorily or tactually, because the moment you give information in the tactual format for a person who is having visual impairment, then Braille comes in. So a person with visual impairment who needs to have input tactually needs to have material through Braille. Or a person with visual impairment who is a diverse learner in the classroom needs to have auditory description. For example, this particular slide, if I am showing, then I would say that in this slide, there should be audio description to it. Like for a person who is having visual impairment, I would be saying that in this particular slide, I am showing all the 5 senses and the inputs of the senses being processed out by the brain. What I want to explain out in this slide is that there are sensory inputs which are coming in and they are being processed out. So this bit of audio description to the slide is always needed for this presentation, which is known as audio description for a person with visual impairment who would be called a diverse learner, so that he or she can appreciate this webinar. Now, once this audio description is given, then this person with diverse learning needs, who is a person with visual impairment, starts appreciating it, so is accommodated. Similarly, me by profession is an audiologist and speech language pathologist. We work quite a bit on the auditory processing and how auditory processing is done. Especially if you look into the teaching and learning pedagogy which is followed up, or the methods which are followed up, it is predominantly audio visual. Either they are saying it or they are showing it. So if they are saying it, then it needs to be processed out auditorily. There are a group of children who cannot process it auditorily, as the so-called 68.3% do, typically developing do. These children may be having specific learning disabilities. Most of the children with specific learning disabilities would be having this APD or auditory processing disorders, in which this particular stream of speech which is going in cannot be broken into words and further into syllables, further into phonemes if English is processed out and somebody has to write down a spelling. That means when I'm addressing out a child who would be having, or when I'm addressing out a classroom which would be having children with auditory processing disorders or children with specific learning disabilities, and believe by most conservative estimates, 15% of children in a classroom have APDs or auditory processing disorders, or would be at risk of having some type of learning disability. So what I need to do is, I need to be slow in terms of what I'm speaking. I need to give in visual cues. I need to repeat out and paraphrase information which is being given. And I need to take feedback also from students, so that I ensure a person with auditory processing disorder attends the class. So the person with auditory processing disorder would also be a child with auditory processing disorder. Believe me, it's 15% of the classroom population. There are many of us who in our childhood could study with the headphone listening to the music or putting on the tape recorder. There were many like me who could not do it. Some like me who could not do it and were disturbed out by the vehicles moving on the road. If I was sitting near the window, probably might be having some amount of processing challenges. Now remember, there is no black and white in this. I showed you the developmental curve, that's why. These skills are varying in nature. So a teacher in the classroom, or a good teacher, why do we call a teacher a good teacher? A good teacher actually would be modulating out his voice, would be paraphrasing out his entire topic in a way that these group of children who have varying auditory needs actually can process it too. So they also are included in the group of children who are the so-called children who are diverse learners, and this would be their need. From an occupational therapist point of view, if you see, sensory inputs come in through auditory, visual, gustatory or taste, olfactory, smell, tactile, touch, vestibular, balance and proprioceptive body position, or through the joint sensation. Based upon these inputs, there is a response which is given by the child, and that is the so-called adaptive response, or the way the child adapts to the environment. If any of these inputs are not processed the way it is expected to be processed in a typically developing child, then we call those learners as learners having diverse needs. I've already explained auditory and visual. Most of the play activities, pencil activities, and movement activities in school would be requiring out tactile, vestibular, and proprioceptive processing. There are many children with auditory, with SPD, sensory processing disorders. One extreme, there will be children with autism as well who cannot cope up with this. So they need to be addressed too. So minor modification in the play, giving out things which are of good grip, giving them a body position idea. These are things which need to be addressed out. Finally, once the sensory inputs are taken care of, the inputs need to be processed out somewhere here. So the last concept which I would like to say in this inaugural address is the concept of working memory. Now, you and me are hearing this comfortably. The only reason is that the other thoughts which are there in our head, thoughts about our home, thoughts about the profession, thoughts about, COVID-19, thoughts about simple things like who of the daily needs or the ration which is supposed to come home, I have to get this, get that, etc., etc. Those thoughts are kept apart, and a blank space, or you are keeping a space in your mind free, because of which you are hearing me and then processing out what I am saying. The better the space, the better the blank space, the better I will be understood by you. The better the blank space in my head, the better I can speak out to you. The more it is clouded up, the poorer would be my delivery of this particular lecture, and the poorer would be the understanding of this particular inaugural address. So the last concept is the concept of working memory. Now, Badley and Hitch, they were the most popular people who gave this concept of working memory, often confused with short-term memory also. But working memory is something which has come up quite a bit in vogue. Working memory is defined as a mental workbench where information is encoded into meaningful chunks. I've given an example of spelling, which is a typical activity in the classroom. For example, if a teacher says, write with which alphabet or sound the word cat begins with, to address this particular, or to answer out this particular question, the child has to first listen to this cat, store it in the working memory, that empty space, break it up, cat, or something like that, depending upon the language which it is being processed out. And then identify, okay, this means it corresponds to K in English. Retrieve out and its representation, the grapheme K, bring it down and write down the grapheme and show, okay, cat, sorry, it's not K, it's C. Cat starts with the sound K, but with the grapheme C in English. But if it is Hindi or any other Indian language, cat, We will write down ka and show this is the sound with which it starts. So to write down, to do this particular simple phonics task, the child has to attend, store the auditory input, top it off into its constituent parts, made the syllables or phonemes, retrieve it out from the presentation for it, use out the hand proprioceptive inputs and tactile inputs, write it down and then show it to the teacher. For this, the child needs to have an empty space in his mind so that he can focus out to the particular thing. This is known as working memory. So working memory is a limited capacity system for temporarily storing and processing the information required to carry out cognitive tasks. In this case, where the child has to write down the alphabet or the akshara with which the word cat starts, the child needs to store the word cat, process the sound unit in it, identify and retrieve it from the long-term memory, the grapheme, alphabets or aksharas which make up the first sound, and then write it down. The better is working memory, the better is the task performed. And we know that multiple researchers show that working memory is something which is maximally challenging in children with learning disabilities, ADHD, children with autism, and a varied set of children who find it difficult to attend to what is being said in the classroom. So apart from the sensory needs, which we have to address, sensory needs means the needs to put up alternate sensory input. We need to address the working memory issues also, where the child needs to be taught how to attend to things. These requirements of sensory alternates and working on memory, everything has to be re-looked upon because of the COVID-19 situation, where the entire learning has now taken up a E-turn. It's very difficult to find out alternate because we are much more dependent visually. Hardly people, many of us know how to visually code out pictures like this. We are only dependent upon the auditory part, and the auditory part is, or the audition is coming out from the microphone or from the speakers of this computer, and that necessarily need not be of a good quality. It's very difficult to handle out children, how they are sitting down, whether they are sitting properly or not, whether they are attending or not. It's very difficult because there should be a parent who should be scaffolding. There is something known as scaffolding also. Lev Vygotsky, he puts quite a bit of importance in terms of the zone of proximal development and the MK, or the more knowledgeable adult who actually scaffolds or supports the child. These all would be missing out the moment children are not in school and they are there at home. Multiple challenges, not only for diverse learners, even for the so-called typically developing learners, especially in this COVID-19 situation. Hope we should be aggressively working towards this, finding out alternates, giving in options, empowering our parents, so that forget about, it's not forget about, like even the typically developing children are into challenges. About children with diverse needs, we really have to work hard. Otherwise, as the media reports, there will be dropouts in lakhs. I would end up my presentation by this, and I thank you for your kind joint attention. Joint attention means you and me giving our entire working memory to a particular common topic. That's what is needed when we are expecting somebody to hear and learn out something. Thank you, Anisha madam. Thank you, Kamara sir. Thank you for organizing this wonderful national webinar. Thank you, ma'am. I'm done.
Thank you so much, sir. So your presentation had laid a wonderful foundation for the topic that has been chosen for the day. Thank you once again, sir. Now we'll move on to the next presentation. We have Sri P. Kamaraj. He is the head of the Department of Special Education of NIEPMD. He has his specialties in the field of intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, multiple disabilities, and autism. Now I invite Sir to present the keynote address of this webinar.
Audible. Good morning to all. So I'm happy to invite all of you to participate in this program, the universal design and addressing the diverse learners in the room. So it is our responsibility and duty to attend to this aspect of developing universal design and addressing the diverse learners in the classroom. Universal design, as explained by the astronomy, that is the existing matter, energy, space. So we have to think of all the aspect when we thought of think of universal design. So we have to look into all the aspect. The statistics explains that the populations are considered to be the universal design. To study about that the universe is not that easy. So it is external and evolving day by day. Inventing new things in the universe, and it goes on. So it is diverse in nature, but however, so we can observe the differences among the people living in the globe. So we can also observe the individual differences. That individual differences are explained by good as the variation or deviations among individual is regard to a single characteristics, a number of characteristics, those differences which in the totality distinguish one individual from another. We can observe the individual differences in their physical size, intellectual aspect, the attitude, achievement, motor ability, emotions, interest, personality, gender, races, nationality, economics. So I am talking about that that individual differences. So when we think about the universal design, and when we think about the addressing of the diverse learners group in the classroom, so all these are need to be considered. We can also observe the individual differences in the learning process, that is input, process and output. The visual acuity, that is differ from person to person. So what is visible to me may not be visible to the people who are sitting at far place. And the visual processing skill, that is also differs. Similarly, that visual perceptual skill, that also differs from person to person. The hearing threshold is differs from person to person. The hearing, the threshold to hear or the discrimination of hearing, that also differs from person to person. The discrimination of touch, using of space and the movement, that also differs from person to person. So you can also observe the person attending the task at a different pace. You can also observe the people understanding the content at a different rate, and the memory the retrieval, memory and the retrieval, that aspect also differs from person to person, and abstracting the activities or abstracting the knowledge or abstracting the things into our program, that also differs from person to person. Then finally the responding to the context, responding to the stimuli, that also differ from person to person. The individual differences on setting objective in the process of learning, that is as explained by Bloom's, so that is differ from person to person in the area of, in the domains of cognitive, affective, psychomotor activities. So if you look at when they set the objective in the classroom, so the goals are varying from person to person. The objectives and the methods are varying from person to person. So it may go into individual and into a group and into a larger group to address. Majority of the the performers in the classroom, so they will be functioning at the lower level, and few reaches to the highest level of that creativity. Universal design is explained in our RPWD Act 2016 as the design of product, environments, programs and services to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation or specialized design, and shall apply to assistive devices including advanced technologies for a particular people or person with disabilities. So the universal design not only for person with disabilities, that has to be think of the entire population. The design of product and environments to be usable to the greatest extent possible by people of all ages and abilities. That definition is given by Story, Mueller and Mays 1998. That Mays is a key person to bring this concept of universal design. Universal design has a goal that puts high values on diversity, equality, and inclusiveness. The universal design follows certain process, principles, and applications. The process are taking place into 8 stages to identify that application, define the universe, involve consumers, adopt guidelines and standards, apply the guidelines and standards, plan for accommodation, train and support, and evolve. So this is a process of universal design, and there are some principles where we have to follow in the universal design, that is equitable in use, flexible in use, simple and inducive, perceptible information, tolerance for error, low physical efforts, size and space for approach and use. So these are all certain principles that we have to follow while designing while developing the universal design. The applications are enormous, so we have to apply all these things into various areas like curricular, the career services offices, multimedia, teaching and learning centers, conferences, museum, recreational areas, homes, computer labs, work sites, and web pages. So these are all the usage is wide. The universal design in education, it addresses on the product, it addresses on the environment, it addresses on the settings. The products are the usage of computer, website, software, textbook, etc. The environments like the educational environments like wherever it is, dormitory or classroom or building or library. So all the that infrastructures, the educational settings like that physical space, information technologies, then the student services. So all this we need to think of the universal design. The universal design for learning, so that is UDL, is a principle for curriculum development that give all individuals equal opportunity to learn. So UDL provides a blueprint for creating instructional goals, methods, materials, and assessment that works for everyone, not a single one size fit all solution, but rather flexible approaches that can be customized and adjusted for individual needs. The principles, broadly they have given three. So that is, we have to provide multiple means of representation. That is what of learning. We have to provide multiple means of action and expression. That is the how of learning. We have to provide multiple means of engagement. That is way of learning. So each principle has certain guidelines to follow. So if you follow those guidelines, definitely we can include everyone into the classroom. So this with this, there are challenges, certain challenges we have to, we will be coming across. So the population across the globe is around 8 billion population, and then all the all the people are diverse in nature, the physical, the intellectual, XYZ. All these are diverse in nature, and so it is distributed into 7 continents and 195 countries are there, and we have to study everything. Uh, all the places, all the the nature of people, the practice, the culture, everything we need to study. So around 6,500 languages are used for the purpose of communication across the globe. It may be more than that. We may not be, exactly having that statistics. But how are we going to include all these people having this much of diversity? How are we going to include all these people, for considering this universal design? And then the curriculum. So that is varies from place to place. Now the panchayataras give the freedom to the local people to develop the curricula. So how are you going to accommodate? How are you going to think about the that universal design or universal design and the universal design for learning? And then we also need to study the lifestyle and the values of the people and the culture of the people that is varied across from across place to place. And then finally, the business people or the service provider, so they have the they will come finally they will come for the negotiations. If the service or the product is profitable, if the service or the product is profitable, so they will come forward. Otherwise they will not take a risk of coming into the design, coming into develop such a design unless it is not taken by the government. We also have the challenges in manpower development. So far, so we have the that manpower development of uni disability or the single subject teachers. So how are we going to address that diverse learners in the classroom? So how we are going to that educate all the existing or the in-service teachers? How we are going to prepare the pre-service training program? So that needs a strategy to develop that the infrastructure with accessibility. Now only we are considering, or we are looking into various that difficulties into the infrastructures. We are studying all the difficulties into the the structure which is inbuilt. But how we are going to overcome all this that existing structure, the new structure, how we are going to plan, how we are going to include. So all these are a lot of challenges coming across in front of us. So make it barrier free or accessible. The entire society need to understand the universal design and um, the universal design for learning. The material, that is the learning resources or the material which is used in our daily use. So that also needs to be considered for universal design. Why? Because that again that consumer and the producer, it depends on the consumer and the producer. Then the admission versus result, the school the management, they'll be looking for the advantage of producing result rather than going for providing services. And then the funding, so that is a great constraint. Funding is a great constraint where everybody has to think it over. Everybody has the responsibility of sharing that, and sharing that responsibility and coming forward to make our society as an inclusive society. So to conclude, that universal design and universal design for learning brings equality, access, and promote in the society. That can be achieved only through active participation. So addressing the diverse learner in the classroom becomes mandatory to facilitate active participation of learner, and it become learner centered approach. So that is in the hands of the teachers or the teaching areas. There are certain challenges in the process of developing universal design that we need to consider. So there is a need to identify possible solution to overcome the challenges. It is the responsibility of the society, one and all, to think it over and how we are going to make that society as a inclusive society. It is in our hand. So these are all the reference. So certain questions are created. So end of this program, that is feedback session. This question can be answered by the participants. So thank you very much. Thank you for our director given us the opportunity to conduct this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your explanations and remarkable thoughts for understanding the UDL concepts and how diverse learners can be helped in a classroom situations and the various challenges that may arise. As we all know, diversity is a fact, inclusion is an act. So we'll move on to the next presenter. I would like to call upon Dr. Mrs. J. Sujata Malini, Associate Professor from Alagappa University. She is the head of the Department of Special Education Rehabilitation Science. She has an additional responsibilities of Principal, Alagappa University College of Education. She is a coordinator, Center for Multimodal Material Production for the Differently Abled, coordinator, Alagappa University Resource School for the Differently Abled, coordinator, Umayal Krech, Alagappa University. She is member in various board of studies from universities and colleges. She has published articles in national and international journals, and she has got lots to say. And now I would like to invite Sujata ma'am to present her session. Over to you, ma'am. Sujata ma'am. Sujata ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, your voice is not audible. Sujata ma'am.
we able to hear?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now able to hear you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I proceed?
Ma'am.
So at the outset, I am so happy to express my gratitude to NIEPMD for giving me this wonderful opportunity to talk on diverse learners and their needs at higher education. At the outset, I express my gratitude to the director, Nachiketa Rao sir, and other faculty members of NIPMED for organizing this wonderful webinar. And they have given a topic which is very need of an hour. It is on diverse learners and their needs at higher education level, which need to be addressed in a right way. At this juncture, I'm here to share some of my knowledge in this topic. Most of the things were known to us, and
Excuse me,
the
ma'am.
earlier speaker.
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Hello.
Excuse me, ma'am. Voice is little low. Can it be raised, ma'am?
Is it okay?
Uh,
Hello.
furthermore, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank.
Hello. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, to continue, the topic which we have taken today for this webinar is like a need of an hour, where we need to concentrate on driver learners and their needs at higher education level. So, NIPMED faculty have taken a right topic in the right way and a right time for explaining to the person with multiple disabilities or person with similar disabilities to excel with their diverse learning styles and challenges and different unique needs. And with those challenges, they need to excel in their education. So at this juncture, we need to focus on diverse learners and their needs and how it has to be focused at higher education level. So in this direction, I suppose that this topic was explored, and I'm not here to say a new thing. Earlier itself, our director and other speakers, they have explained about the diverse learners, their nature, their learning style, their differences, their abilities, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how it has to be addressed. But in a nutshell, I'm going to talk about the little things that we need to refresh and we need to concentrate on those things to get higher beneficial places in the higher education platform. So in this regard, I'm so happy to introduce, I hope all able to see my PowerPoint. So, as we all know, that diverse learners are more students who bring a broad array of learning styles. We know that in a particular classroom, we have students with different abilities and talents, and the individual differences exist. So, in this way, we know that a classroom is a heterogeneous group. The students will be with the different learning styles, like there are their way of learning, their way of approach in the learning, teaching, learning process, and their abilities, their intelligence levels, their personality. So everything is different, and they have a different academic history, and they have a different unique needs. And they have also diversities in way of culture and linguistic differences are also there in a country like India. So when we go for a teaching learning process, as a teacher, we have a set of diverse students where they are different in cultural, where they have in personal differences, where they have psychological differences like emotional, and they have an academic differences also like learning abilities like etc. So in this case, diverse learners, as Fred rightly pointed out by our director, under a normal distribution curve, most of them fall under an average category +1 and -1 mean value, whereas the other two extreme ends are there where we need to focus much more attention to bring out a higher education into their level. So in this aspect, we need to meet the needs of all learners. So irrespective of their physical abilities or disabilities, irrespective of their age differences, irrespective of their level, and irrespective of the cultural differences, and they have the religion differences and sensory differences are also there. As we all know that even in our classroom, we have different types of learners like auditory learners, tactile learners, visual learners. So at this point of time, we need to cater to their preferences of learning styles and type of learners. So at this juncture, it is a need of an art to cater to those needs of the learners and to group all their challenges, and we have to maintain the higher education platform equally. So in this regard, diverse learners and education. When we talk about diverse learners and education, we need to final that we need to focus whether we need to go with the equality or whether we need to go with equity. So, what do you mean by equity or equality? So, equity is nothing but their individual differences are taken care of. In the concept of equal education opportunities, we are focusing on the equalization of education, equal opportunity for all. But we are forgetting about their differences, their abilities, their disabilities. So, in case of gifted children, what we need to do and what we need to focus on, or in case of slow learners, what are the differences, instructive differences, or differentiated instruction that we need to go with. So, like that, we are need we at this juncture when we talk about diverse learners and higher education, we need to focus on equality at the same time. Their individual differences has to be given focus, and equity has to be maintained. So, in this case, we need to provide equal opportunity at the same time their individual, their diverse needs has to be met. So when we talk about diverse learners and their education, teaching learning process for diverse learners, we need to concentrate as a teacher, as an educator, as a professional, we need to concentrate all those things that I have listed in this table. That is, first we need to understand, as a teacher, we need to understand the individual ability and the need assessment. Without assessing the individual's ability, needs, we should not or we cannot go with the teaching learning process. So in that case, as a teacher, first step is we need to focus on individual abilities, individual strengths, individual weakness, and what are the different needs that we need to focus on. So with that assessment only, then we can to proceed with the grouping, different types of grouping the children based on their learning differences. So this grouping of children is very important for a teacher because the individual differences or the learner's differences arises, and it is not possible for us to give individualized instruction for each student. So at this juncture, a small grouping based on their learners' differences is very important task. So differentiated instruction, next step, there we need to design our teaching, our teaching method, teaching technique, and a different way of expression of the materials that of the content that we are taking care is very important. So differentiated instruction on the part of the teacher is very important. And when we are planning that differentiated instruction, we need to focus on student-centered learning. So student-centered learning is very important, and it focuses on how the child is learning, how the child is to go about with the teaching learning process, and how we have to accommodate our students in a teaching learning process. So whatever we plan, earlier days in traditional teaching method, we concentrated on teacher-centered learning approach. So now we have to move, when we talk about diverse learners, we have to take care of student-centered learning. And at this juncture, we also go with the assistive and adaptive devices or technologies that is very well serving for the needs of the diverse learners. So as a teacher, we need to get training, we need to develop the competencies to incorporate the technological advancements, technological assistance or adaptive skills for meeting the diverse needs of the diverse learners. So at this juncture, it is a part of the teacher to frame the instruction or to frame the teaching learning process in such a way we have to meet the needs of the diverse learners in different aspects like project method, learning by doing method, demonstration method, lecturing method, maybe seminar method, or you can also go with the learning by experimentation. So, like different teaching strategies or differentiated instructions has to be implemented by the teacher to meet the diverse learners' needs. So, as a heterogeneous group, they want to have different needs and different challenges. So, in this context, the learning teaching process has to be restructured, and at the same time, at the last, assessment formatting, that is, assessment or testing format has to be alternative form where it can meet the diverse needs of the students. So, in this condition, alternative testing related to formative or summative assessment, we need to find out different ways how to go with those things to meet the needs of a diverse learner. So, in this context, teaching learning process of individuals with the different needs. These are the things that as a teacher we need to concentrate even at a higher education level, their strengths, their needs has to be addressed and their learning differences has to be met effectively through differentiated instruction. So under this concept, when we talk about how to handle diverse learners, appreciating the individual's abilities and needs and strengths, and then accommodating the learners' similarities and differences among the students' culture. And we need to build a relationship between the students and between student and teacher. And we need to have a focus on the ways the students learn and how the students observe and identify their task orientations. So these are the ways and means as how we need to focus the diverse learners effectively in a classroom situation. As now we are practicing inclusive education, Government of India is stressing on inclusive education and all children, irrespective of their abilities and disabilities, irrespective of their needs, irrespective of their learning styles, they are included in under one roof. So, in that case, as a teacher, we need to appreciate their differences and accommodate the students in a classroom situation, in an inclusive classroom situation effectively. So, in this place, their differentiated instructions and social contact, building relationship between the teacher and the student, and relationship between the student and student is also very important. And at the same time, as a teacher, we need to focus the ways the students learn and how to go with those learning styles. And as a teacher, we need to teach students to match their behaviors to the present classroom settings. So, in this regard, it is very important to handle diverse learners' different needs. So, the diversity in the form of modification, scaffolding, or behavior adoption, or adapting the classroom situation, or catering to their diverse needs, it helps all the learners, especially diverse learners, and their knowledge gaps will be filled out when we differentiate our instruction. So, in this place, we also should promote collaboration, communication among students, and it gives opportunities for their feedback also. It is a part of the teacher that we need to promote opportunities for the students to give feedback about the teaching learning process, how they go with their process of teaching or learning, and whether they are comfortable, whether they are able to come out with the achievement goals or academic goals, and then then we have need to encourage the independent learning among the students. So diverse learners, they want to achieve their academic goals or their achievement in the learning process when they have that independent learning. So they should not depend on others, and they should have that independent learning ability so that they will be able to cater to the society usefully. So when they are in a higher education situation or in a higher education platform, the teachers are in a the teachers should be in a position to cater to their needs and to cater to their independent learning and to cater to the opportunities for their feedback to rectify their problems or rectify their weaknesses and get strengthened in the teaching learning process. So when we talk about the needs of diverse learners, so we need to focus on these four skills such as aligned, rigorous, and relevant curriculum assessment. So when we have this teaching learning process, there is a two-sided of a coin where teaching or instruction and assessment. So when we talk about the diverse learners and their needs at higher education, their curriculum adaptation has to be effectively done by the teacher, and at the same time, assessment should also be effectively implemented by the teacher. And then, as a teacher, we need to have a strategy toolkit for student-centered learning. And then the next part is personal connections because relationship make learning possible. So diagnostic thinking is also very important to focus learning and the results. So these are the four concepts that a teacher has to keep in their mind when they have the diverse learners in their classroom. So these are some of the what to say 12 ways of learning. So when we talk about the diverse learners in a classroom, whether it may be in a school education or whether it may be in a higher education, there are different types of learners. So I think here I have listed that there are 12 ways of learning. So as rightly pointed out by our director, NIEPMD, there are students who learn through visual sensation, or there are learners through auditory sensation, or the learners will be a tactile learners, or the students who wants to learn through sensory movement, kinesthetic learners, or the students will be of a type sequential, whether they will be learning step by step. If you give a large amount of portion in a particular way, they will not be able to learn. So the complete learning content has to be given step by step. And there are individuals who learn by categorizing or simultaneous learners, or there are learners through verbal or thinking aloud type of learning method, or there will be in students who learn with others. When they interact with their peer group, they discuss with the topic that you have taught, or a group discussions sessions which you have planned will be effective for the person who wants to learn with others. So interactive learners are there, and in a classroom, reflective and logical thinking learners are there, and there may be a student who will learn only through direct experience. So such type of learners need to be addressed through direct experience as far as possible. And then there are students who will learn only through demonstration, maybe indirect experience, and there are students who can learn through rhythmic melodies like music or some rhythmic beats like that. So there are students with diverse learning styles, and these are some of the learning ways that students will be adopting. And as a teacher, we need to understand that in a classroom there are students with this type of learning styles or learning ways, so that we need to accommodate our instructional process, our instructional the methods or materials or techniques in this all different ways of learning. Then only we can meet the needs of the diverse learners. So in this context, higher education, when we talk about the particularly to higher education, it is a transition period from childhood to adulthood. So when we celebrate diversity and when we want to make our child to transit from childhood to adulthood, it is a part of our teacher that we need to celebrate the diversity and make the students to get success and independence, and it will be achieved through acceptance and appreciation, and also meeting the challenges. So I think all the who are here, all the participants can see my presentations, that every student every day they have the challenges in their diverse classroom. Diversity or heterogeneous group is there in every classroom situation. So as a teacher and as a learner also, they need to know that their diversity has to be celebrated. It is not that they need to be segregated or negative attitudinal things has to be happened, and it has to be not effectively met, then it will lead to problems among the children with the diverse needs. A study by Chat, a study was done by a person called Chataika in 2010, and it was noted that the students with the disabilities in higher education continue to face attitudinal, physical, and institutional barriers. And they, even though they have the ability to develop coping mechanism, it will hinder them, and to a certain extent, they are able to achieve their educational goals. So, in this study, they have mentioned a very important thing, that is attitude. So, the attitude is very important, and at some time or some point of time, if the what is it, teachers or the peer group in a classroom, if they have a negative attitude, and that what is it, the culture of celebrating the diversity is not developed in a classroom, then it will affect the students with disabilities in higher education to fail in their educational attainment or educational goal. So, in this aspect, transition period takes place in the higher education point from childhood to adulthood. The transition period in college, that is higher education level, is very important, and their success, their independence is depending upon their peer group acceptance and appreciation by the teachers, and the challenges that they face will be effectively met through teachers, their peer groups, and by the student with disabilities itself. So, in this context, I'm so stressing here that we need to celebrate the diversity, and this transition period should focus the interest of the students, their needs, and additional disabilities need, that is unique needs that due to their disabilities has to be taken care, and their proper guidance is required during the transition period. And as a part of the transition plan and as a part of developing self-determination, encourage, we as a teacher, we need to encourage them to set a future goal, because when the students are at higher education level, it is the end point that they need to set up certain goals for their future. They have to plan their career and in which direction they need to go. So in this part, the higher education part, when we plan for this transition plan, we need to set the goals for their future and develop the plan to achieve that goal. Not only just to set a goal, it is need to we need to just have a strategic plan to achieve that goal, and we need to make choices about everyday activities to achieve that goal. And you should make the diverse learners to know what are the rights and the responsibilities that they need to take up, and on the part of the teachers and on the part of the educational administrators to make the higher education accessible to the students with disabilities. So they understand the students with disabilities or the diverse learners need to understand their strengths, challenges, and likes and dislikes. So they need to come out with those the understandings, and they need to understand what are the accommodations they need to have for fulfilling or overcoming their strengths and weaknesses. They need to accommodate certain assistive devices or the instructional process or the teaching methods or the learning methods, and so that they can achieve in their higher education level to the highest possible level. So in this way, the transition period should be highly focused, and the general needs of diverse learners should incorporate that modification of the course instruction. So the course prescribed at a higher education level need to be modified depending upon the needs of the learners, and allowing the students with special needs to complete the coursework or give presentations and take exams, alternative forms which is available in that particular institution, so that the diverse learners' needs are effectively met at the higher education level, and work with the students with specific needs to gain access to adaptive software and technology that help them learn effectively, and appoint individuals who can assist these students as note takers, readers, scribes, and other essential roles. Often students with special needs addressing time for and the text as well as getting to classes. So ensurement of classrooms, dormitories, dining halls, and other facilities are completely accessible or not has to be ensured regardless of their disability. So guide the student with disabilities to a specialized centers like resource centers and or other on-campus services dedicated to assisting these individuals. So these are the general needs of a diverse learners need to be addressed, and they need to be taken care of. So when we talk about course instruction modification, come across adaptations, accommodations, and modifications. So these things has to be focused at the higher education level, where we need to have a physical accessibilities or adaptations or accommodations. An article given by Wazim Ahmed clearly mentioned that there is a physical inaccessibility. So students with disabilities who continue their higher education face physical barriers in their educational services, such as lack of ramps, elevators in multi-level buildings, heavy doors, inaccessible washrooms, and or inaccessible transportation from home to the institution to the home. So accommodation process is also main thing that the students with the disabilities often encounter and concessions. Many of the times, professional assessments are also not carried out on time. So, delay in the provisions of special education programs and services are also observed. And he also mentioned in that article like lack of individual
Ma'am, we are unable to hear your voice, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, we are unable to hear your voice. Ma'am, please unmute your mic and present, ma'am. Ma'am, are you able to hear me? Ma'am, please unmute your mic. Excuse me, ma'am. Sujata, ma'am. Sujata, ma'am, please unmute your mic. Excuse me, ma'am. Unmute the mic, please, ma'am. Sujata, ma'am. Sujata, ma'am, please unmute the mic.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Now you are audible, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, we are able to hear you, ma'am. Now you are audible, ma'am. Please present, ma'am. Ma'am, please go ahead, ma'am. Sujata, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now audible, ma'am.
Which part it is not audible? Audible.
Ma'am, the slide stands for adaptation for sensory
Hello.
impairment and accom.
Hello. Can you? Hello. Hello.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Please go with the presentation, ma'am.
ஹலோ கேக்குதாம்மா என்னாச்சுன்னு தெரியல எப்ப இருந்து ஆடிபிள் இல்ல
ஒரு 3 நிமிஷம் தான் மேம் ஆகுது. நீங்க கண்டினியூ
இதுக்கு
பண்ணலாம் மேம்.
முன்னாடி
அந்த
வரைக்கும்
ஸ்லைடு கேட்டுச்சு மேம். கண்டினியூ பண்ணலாம். எஸ் மேம், யூ கேன் கோ அஹெட் மேம்.
ஓகே
எஸ் மேம். எஸ் மேம்.
from which slide it was not audible
The slide displays adaptations for sensory impairment and
yeah
accommodation for sensory impairment.
இது எது வரைக்கும் கேட்டுச்சுன்னு மட்டும் சொல்லுங்க
மேம் இந்த கரண்ட் ஸ்லைட் போட்டிருந்தீங்கல்ல மேம் அடாப்டேஷன் அண்ட் சென்சரி
ஆமா
ஸ்டார்ட் மேம் அந்த ஸ்லைட்ல இருந்து ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க மேம்
ஓகே ஓகே அது வரைக்கும் கேட்டுச்சா
அது வரைக்கும் கேட்டுச்சு மேம்
ஓகே ஓகே
this slide you started now
yeah when we talk about hello is it okay
it's audible ma'am
so when we talk about higher education for students with disabilities University Grants Commission has given lot of schemes in during 10th and 11th year plan and equal opportunity cells in the universities so that their every students with disabilities will have equal opportunity and equal curricular adaptations need to be made. So in that schemes and other things, they have given the representation of students with disabilities in the university forums and student union will also be effectively implemented, which brings out the empowerment and the need to excel and shine in the career opportunities will be developed among students with disabilities. So in this way, our Government of India, MHRD, Ministry of Human Resource Development and University Grants Commission of India is also making a wonderful shift in motivating the students with disabilities to enter into the higher education platform. So, and as for us, we all know that Government of India has also implemented a special scheme called HEPSEN program, through which the University Grants Commission has created an opportunity for getting all the resources available for which is needed for the diverse learners to satisfy their learning needs. So in this way, there are different opportunities like resource centers, creation of a center for multimodal material production center. To say or to pinpoint here, our government of Tamil Nadu has also created a scheme of setting up a center for multimodal material production for children with or for students with disabilities at higher education level, so that their learning needs or adaptations, accommodations and modifications can be done effectively and the diverse learners needs are effectively met. So in this way, the adaptations for sensory impairments and accommodations for sensory impairment students at higher education level were brought into focus because of the adaptive and assistive devices that is available, such as braille accessible to education materials, adaptations to the curriculum, and classroom design related to verbal or auditory alternatives or orientation tools or mobility tools, magnification softwares, augmentative and alternative communication devices. So such a different assistive and adaptive devices are made available in the HEPSEN program under every university, and the Center for Multimodal Material Production Center available in state universities of Tamil Nadu, so that the students with disabilities at higher education will be effectively what to say, included in a higher education setup. So in this regard, the article which was written by Wasim Ahmad clearly mentioned that there is a negative attitude in the higher education level, there is a physical inaccessibility, and there is an adaptation or accommodation facilities are not available, will be nullified with those schemes which is available right now in the universities. So I'm sure that, for example, if we take our university, we have ramps, rails, and accessible facilities, building physical accessibilities for students with disabilities are provided. And at the same time, we have HEPSEN programs in our university premises, and we have a center for multimodal material production, so that all the individuals who are with sensory impairments or who are with the print disabilities or who are with locomotor problems, so their needs are satisfied at the higher education platform, and it enhances the children with disabilities to effectively take part in the higher education platform and achieve their goal. So in this way, I think this diverse learners' needs are effectively met, and in this diverse learners' needs, assistive devices are playing a vital role, and they have different types of assistive devices to make a note making or submitting their assignments, they're submitting their project work, or their electronic devices are nowadays available, audio formats are available, large print materials are available. So and there is an opportunity for the students to record their answers, and no need for scribes, no don't they will be given independent accessibility to give their own answers through recording their answers through videotapes or different ways, so that they will not be depending upon the scribe work, and the real object life experiences, practical works, demonstrations. So in this way, they are all independent learning, and their independent way of expression or independent work assignments are ensured at higher education level through various assistive devices that is available for children with special needs. So computer access like low screen resolution, high screen resolution, screen magnification, scan and read software, so refreshable braille output. So different things are there. And when we talk about children with autism spectrum disorder in particular, they face lot of challenges like cognitive processing delays, sensory perception issues, expression and motor skill challenges, and social skill deficits. So when we talk about children with the autism spectrum at higher education level, so mainly they will be facing problems in social interactions or social skill deficits, and their expression and motor skill challenges and sensory procession. That is perceptions issue. With the autism spectrum disorder, they are facing lot of challenges. So when these children enter from school to college or in a higher education platform, their challenges are very high and it need to be addressed. So when we focus on those challenges, it is on the part of the teacher and the colleagues and the peer group to meet those challenges effectively and make the child or the student with autism spectrum disorder to be effectively what to say, included in a higher education platform. So for including the students with autism spectrum disorder effectively in a higher education platform, allow or create a low distraction learning area where the autism spectrum disorder will be highly destructive and they need to focus on learning. So we need to, as a teacher or as a co-learners, we need to ensure whether their learning area is low distracting one. And we need to ensure whether their seating arrangements is also comfortable for them. Some autism child will also exhibit hyperactive behaviors sometimes. So we need to ensure whether their seating arrangements are comfortable so that they can move around when they are little bit comfortable or uncomfortable with hyperactiveness. So it can be settled down within a time or within a time. So we need to focus on how to change our instruction in a more sensory integrated instruction. So as early when we are talking about a classroom is a heterogeneous group, and there will be an auditory learners, there will be a visual learners, and there will be a kinesthetic learners. So in this regard, the different types of learners has to be addressed. So in particular, if we have children with autism spectrum disorder, automatically they will be facing sensory integration problems will be there for them. So the instruction which we are providing for those kids has to be sensory integrated instruction so that we can provide effective teaching learning process situation to the environment, to the students with autism spectrum disorder. And other aspects which we need to concentrate when we are focusing of students with autism spectrum is visual cues, positive reinforcement, individualized instructions, written highlights from teachers' lectures, daily schedules, need to be designed for children with autism spectrum disorder to meet their diverse needs. So, in this context, as a teacher, we need to plan for those instructional process and assistive technology for children with the autism spectrum disorder. Lot of assistive technologies are available. They can get those assistive technology help, and they will be able to learn in an effective manner. So these are some of the alternative, adaptive, and assistive technology that can be effectively implemented for children with autism spectrum disorder, even at a school level or in a higher education platform, to complete their teaching learning process and excel in their academic achievement. So when we talk about diverse learners, one of the categories is students with learning disabilities. They have different needs and they also face different challenges. So learning disability students will have visual or auditory processing deficits. They also demonstrate executive functional delay, and they have expression reception skill deficit and Some students also exhibit some social skill deficits or challenges, and these challenges need to be addressed at higher education level. And as we all know that a teacher need to design or modify their individual course instruction. Maybe the students with learning disabilities need to have a modified individualized course content or course instruction, which depends upon to their level of learning. So alternative forms of learning materials and testing forms are very important for students with learning disabilities. So when we talk about diverse learners and their needs at higher education, we need to focus on provision of individualized educational or instructional materials or instructional forms or instructional content, and at the same time testing materials, testing formats or testing methods need to be alternative one. And at the same time, we need to accommodate or adapt or modify the instructions, and adaptive and assistive technology has to be embedded in the teaching learning process. So when we concentrate on students with learning disabilities, their needs will be effectively met when we incorporate assistive and adaptive technologies in the teaching learning process. So apart from that, when we talk about students with the learning disabilities are talking for a test taking and provision for additional time for assignments is also very important for students with learning disabilities. And at the same time, students with learning disabilities needs classroom accommodation. So they need to be able to have a different seating environments or sitting arrangements or classroom light facilities, lighting or classroom seating arrangements. So different things have to be taken care of, and their needs have to be effectively met. And when we talk about assistive technology for students with learning disabilities, there are lot of tools available. Handwriting tools are there, keypad, touch screens, dictations, word predictions, dictionaries, text to speech converters, talking calculators, speed recorders, and videotaped social skills, graphic organizers, and mobile devices. So nowadays, Android mobiles are available, and it will do wonders for students with learning disabilities. So a lot of assistive technology is available nowadays for meeting the needs of a diverse learners in an inclusive classroom at higher education level also. So in this context, when we talk about the needs of diverse learners at higher education, assistive tools are very important so that it will help them to promote self-esteem. And because when they have this assistive and adaptive tools, it is effective that they feel that they are independent. They don't want to go and get help from others. So automatically it builds self-confidence among those students, and it will promote self-esteem, and it also improves their quality of life, and it increases the productivity, how effectively they can submit the assignments. They don't need to depend on the others. They can effectively prepare their own assignments, their own materials, their own things. So the productivity will be increasing, and it enhances the performance of the students and increase independence. So with the what to say, adaptations of assistive technology in the teaching learning process, it is very highly effective and makes them feel more confident. So assistive technology in higher education is a vital path. When we talk about assistive technology, students are able to work at their own pace, and students are able to accomplish the task more individually, and the students are able to be included in a regular classroom. So as already I have pointed out, a classroom is an inclusive classroom. It is a heterogeneous group. The teacher has to cater to the needs of all diverse learners, so that a group instruction, individualized instruction, differentiated instruction depending upon the needs. So it has to be designed by the teacher, and for the teacher, this assistive technology will be very helpful so that the students are able to be included in the regular classroom effectively. And by being included in the regular classroom, it would not only benefit the students with disability, but also the other students and even the teacher can benefit through that assistive technology adoption. So students are able to achieve academic standards. So with the assistive technology, they are able to submit their assignments very qualitily, and they are able to present their things in an effective way, in an independent manner, so that they can able to achieve academic standards. They are able to gain knowledge, and they are able to provide what to say. A positive outlook or a positive attitude towards their peer group. As they are able to do all their works independently, automatically their peer group acceptance will be coming. So the students are able to achieve their academic standards. So, and at the same time, students are given the opportunity to socialize with the other students. The peers will be, the peer group will be able to understand their abilities and understand their strengths, and they can be accepted. So the technology helps that, and technology can also help students to improve organization skills and also writing skills. And technology helps students to reach a higher level of education. So with this short explanation about the diverse learners and their needs in higher education. As a teacher, we need to concentrate how effectively we have to include students with disabilities in higher education, and to promote a positive attitude and provide physical accessibility and institutional accommodations and individualized instruction and differentiated or curricular adaptations. So in this regard, a teacher's role is very important, and a teacher can play very what to say, magician role in the life of students with the diverse needs, and students with the different disabilities. And at higher education level, it is the part of the instructor or the teacher to bring out the strengths in a more higher form, and excel in their life with a very good career in their future. So with this few words, I will conclude my what to say, just a talk by saying a gratitude to DIPET for providing an opportunity to present the diverse learners, different type of diverse learners, their challenges, their needs, and how it has to be met at higher education level positively, and promote a very good lifestyle for the individuals with the disabilities after their higher education, with a very good career opportunity. Thank you for giving this opportunity. I extend my gratitude to the director, NIEPMD, and other faculty for bearing with the technological issues that happened during the presentation. Thank you.
And thank you for your wonderful presentation, ma'am. Ma'am, we'll take up the questions at the end of our webinar today. So I request you to stay back so
Yeah,
that
sure, ma'am.
we can help the learners to understand the concept.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, now we'll move on to the next presenter. We have Ms. Sudhanshu Grover. She is the head of the educational services at Action for Autism. In addition to being a professional, Sudhanshu is a parent to twin sons who are autistic adults. She has 18 years of experience in structuring home and classrooms, developing class curriculums, performing assessments in STEAM schools for inclusion through awareness camps. Sudhanshu started teaching as a special educator in 2001, and since then has attended and conducted various workshops on autism spectrum disorders across India as well as Southeast Asia. She has worked with people with autism across ages. Now over to you, ma'am, and we are ready to listen from you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Hello and good morning, everyone. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are audible, ma'am.
All right. Should I start with the presentation?
Yes, ma'am. You can go ahead with your presentations, ma'am.
Can you see the presentation, ma'am? Hello?
No, ma'am.
Because I
No,
can't
not
see
yet.
any.
No, 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 ma'am. It's not. No, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. The display is not there.
Okay, just give me a minute.
We can still see Dr. Sujata's presentation. So if we ask her to close that, maybe that will help.
Sujata ma'am, on request, you need to click stop presenting, ma'am. Sujata ma'am. Sujata ma'am. Sujata ma'am, can you just click stop presenting? Ma'am, yes. Excuse me, Sujata ma'am. Ma'am, you need to stop presenting. Your slides are still visible.
Should I just start?
Sudhanshu, will you try putting on your presentation now? Yes, we can. Yeah, it's saying Sudhanshu Grover is presenting. We are able to see your screen.
Can you see my screen? Can you see the presentation?
No, right now we can see you on the screen. You might have to minimize your video.
Now can you see?
Yes, we can see Sudhanshu.
You can see the screen,
Yes, we
the
can see
presentation.
multiple. Yes, we can see the presentation.
Oh, okay, all right.
And you're on.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
right. So, namaste and good morning. I am Sudhanshu from Action for Autism, and today I'll be talking about multiple means of engagement for children with autism. I would first of all like to thank NIEPMD for giving us this opportunity, giving Action for Autism this opportunity to be presenting on this national webinar. So, thank you. And now I'll start. These are challenging times. We know that because of the pandemic, the pandemic has had a massive impact on the lives of each one of us throughout the world, right? And there have been major lifestyle changes. The remote learning, the work from home, social distancing, we're still getting used to all of this, right? There has been a major disruption in our life, and the pandemic has shown how we all don't like changes. We all need predictability in our lives. We all want this situation to end, right? So think of a person who is so dependent on routine and familiarity, who is who wants predictability, who does not like changes, who may have anxiety and depression as comorbid conditions, who has difficulties in communication, who has difficulty understanding abstract language. Are people with autism. Just think about how challenging these times would be for autistic individuals. So basically, I'm going to be talking about how we can help them, right? I'll jump straight away into the topic. And the first thing that we can do is we set a routine, right? We know that a lot of families, all of us, in fact, we, are helped if we have a routine in place. Agar hum, if we get up on time, we're able to achieve so much, right? So it is important to set a routine especially for a person who finds it difficult to transition, it is absolutely important that he has a routine, right? So parents and caregivers can figure out what works for them, and based on what their schedule is going to be like, they can plan the child's day around that, right? So it's important to think of these days not as holidays, but as learning from home days. And therefore, we want to keep the overall structure of the day as close as possible to pre COVID days. So, you want to keep meal times, bed times, shower times at the same time like they were earlier. Also, you want to set home and personal boundaries. A person with autism uh, thrives on structure. If he knows what is expected from him, he will perform very well, right? So it is important to set home and personal boundaries, establish zones in different areas of the house. So where is going to be his parents' workplace? Where is he going to be studying? Where is he going to be playing when parents are working? If we can demarcate these areas, establish these areas, it will really help an autistic individual. So, if the child is going to be working on the dining table, how would the child know that he's coming to the dining table to work now? Right? The dining table is used for cutting vegetables, it is used for reading the newspaper, it is used for playing games, it is used for a whole lot of things, right? So, how would the child know? And of course, for eating. So, how would the child know that now that he's coming to the table, he's expected to study? So, we can give him a placemat. The placemat will give him a cue that now is the time to study. So, he understands whenever the placemat is kept, I'm supposed to be coming and sitting on the dining table to study, right? Similarly, if you could demarcate, if parents could demarcate mom and dad's workplace, right? Have a mat where the child can be in front of them while they are working, you know, and we'll talk about how he can be engaged when parents are working, right? But giving them this visual structure, this visual cue of placing a mat will usually benefit. They will understand that that is what is expected from them, right? If the child is going to be again studying on the dining table, it is good to have him away from the window or away from the TV. If dining table is an area where there is a lot of movement happening, then maybe you want to give him a corner of a room. So if there is no individual room that can be given, then maybe, you know, a rope can be hung in the room, and from the rope a curtain can be, you know, or a chadar can be put, so that that area where the child is going to be studying, is going to be having his online classes, is kind of cornered off, right? It is important to give him a table and chair, because if he's going to be lying down on the bed, he is not going to feel alert. He's going to be feeling sleepy. So it will again not be clear to him as to what is expected. So so we want to tell parents that they've got to take care of these things, right? Um, Use of schedules. We know that their autistic children find it difficult to manage time, right? There are a lot of families who come and say that, you know, since morning he's been asking, मैं कब ये करूँगा? When will I, you know, play? When will I watch the TV? When will I be on the iPad? Right? And there are some parents who say that the children don't ask questions, but they are sitting and doing the same thing over and over again. Right? Now, this is primarily because children with autism sometimes find it difficult to manage their time. Right? So, what really helps is if we give them a timetable. Also, one thing that I would like to say is that,
Sudhanshu,
yes,
Sudhanshu,
Tanvi?
sorry to interrupt you. There is some noise coming from behind, and also your, if you could increase your volume.
Just a moment. I've increased my volume. Is it better now?
There's, it's better now, but there seems to be some noise that is coming from behind. Is it from some fan or something that is on in your room?
Yeah, it's a fan.
Yeah, I think it's the fan that is. That,
Just give me a minute. Let me see if I can.
sure, sure, sure.
Is it better, Tanvi?
Your voice is audible, but and clear also, but the sound from the fan, I think, is a bit
I'll try and move a little
difficult.
towards the side.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah. All right. So we want to. So as I was talking about, sometimes children with autism may find it difficult to manage their time. It will be highly beneficial if they get a timetable. And also, one thing that I would like to say is that autistic individuals are they understand visuals more, right? Like earlier ma'am was talking about different kind of learners. Autistic individuals are visual learners, right? They are 10 times able to process visual information more than auditory information. So we want to give them visuals wherever possible. So give them a visual timetable, right? And a visual timetable that loosely mirrors a regular school day with built-in time for snack, lunch, and physical activity, right? So the parents can get in touch with teachers and ask them what kind of a schedule did the child follow at school, right? And have a similar kind of a timetable. If the child has not been following a timetable in school, he was given a group timetable, then it's a good time for parents to introduce a timetable at home, a schedule at home, which could be like this first then schedule, right? The first then schedule, it could be something like this, where the child knows that first he has to be eating and then he will get his computers, or first he will do maths and then it will be time for him to cycle, right? The cues that can be kept in the schedule can be again dependent on what the child's understanding is. So if the child understands objects, right, is a concrete learner, then you want to place objects here, right? So the spoon could indicate eating, and a toy mobile could indicate mobile time that he's going to be having, right? Once the child gets an understanding of the first then schedule, then we move to the first next then schedule, right? So first we are going to be eating, then we are going to be bathing, and then we are going to be, say, cycling, right? If the child is, like you can see here, the child understands icons, he understands symbols, then you could have symbols put up, right? So again, this will depend on what kind of a learner the child is, what is his understanding like. If he reads words, you can have words, he can read and understand words, you can have words written here. If he understands pictures, you can have pictures here, right? Once the child begins to understand the first next then schedule, you move to a part day schedule, a half day schedule, right? You could have symbols, you could have pictures, and this will tell him what is going to happen in what sequence, when will this activity get over. You can see this is a time bound schedule, यहाँ पर time भी लिखा है, right? So he knows that at 8:20 he has to feed and water the dog, at 8:25 he has to make his bed. So this is a time bound schedule, so he knows that in this sequence he has to work. When this will get over, when one activity will get over, what will be the next activity, and what is his day going to be like, right? And as he does the activity, he puts a tick mark. So you can see a tick mark here, a green tick mark, which means the activity is finished, right? It Once a child begins to get a hang of the half day schedule, parents can move to a full day schedule for the child, right? So this is how a full day schedule is, right? This is for the this is for the morning, and this is for the for the evening, right? So schedules benefit an autistic individual hugely because they tell them what is their day going to be like, right? And all this, the repetitive questioning, it stops because he knows what his day is going to be like, right? It is a good idea to involve the child when you're creating the schedule, right? It will give him a sense of control. The situation is very out of control, he has nothing in his control, everything is continuously changing, right? So it is a good idea to involve the child when you are making the schedule for him. You can ask him in the creative time, what is it that you would like to do? Would you like to do craft work, or would you like to cook something, right? Also, what happens is that when parents they make a schedule, they mostly put on their agenda. Whatever they want the child to do, that is what they put up. So it doesn't work for many days. The child may initially begin following the schedule, but he would not want to follow it for many days. That is why it's a good idea to give him breaks in between, uh, and to intersperse hard and easy tasks. Then the child will be motivated and would want to follow his schedule. So that is something that the parents can do. Also, the timer is a great tool. Again, time is a very abstract concept, right? When I after 2 minutes, later, one more minute, what does one mean when one is saying this, right? So also what happens is that we know most autistic individuals, they have a lot of special interests, right? And when they are in their special interests, they come into this flow state where it becomes difficult for them to disengage, right? Kabhi kabhi it happens with some of us also, that when we are engrossed in something, we just lose track of time, right? So a timer is a great tool to use here, because it tells how much time is left, right? It shows the passage of time. So it's a good idea to have a visual timer for the autistic individual. It is a good idea to avoid timers on mobile, because he will not be able to, the child will not be able to communicate with the timer, right? He will not be able to see the passage of time, right? So therefore it's a good idea to have visual timers, to provide the child with visual timers. When the child is attending classes, it is important for him to be wearing proper clothes. We cannot just have him get up from sleep and sit down for the classes. He is not going to feel alert. He is not going to feel energized, right? He will not feel like doing an activity. So it's important that he brushes, bathes, wears a proper dress while he is sitting for his online classes, so that he feels energized and confident. Rules for classes. Autistic individuals love rules because they are literal, they are concrete, they are consistent, they don't change, right? So provide them rules. Again, like I had said earlier, if an autistic individual knows what is expected from him, he does a wonderful job. So provide him rules so that he understands what is expected from him when he's going to be doing these online classes. How much we all are struggling with this understanding of Zoom and understanding of Google Meet and understanding of Skype, right? For an individual with autism, it's going to be even more difficult, right? He does not usually like transitions. So it's important to give him rules so that he understands what is expected from him. What is he supposed to be doing? So the rules could be like join in time, right? Sit in a chair. So the information of the online classes can be put up on his schedule, right? On the visual schedules that we had talked about, and in the area where he's going to be sitting and working, which is free from distractions. You could print the classrooms and put them on the wall. So he knows that he has to sit on his chair. He knows that he's expected to look at the screen. He knows that he has to keep his video on, keep his audio off, and only when the teacher asks him a question, he is supposed to unmute himself. Right? So use class rules. That really helps an autistic individual. Fidgets, right? Many of us use fidgets, right? Some of us like to twirl our hair, like to play with the pen, like to doodle, because it helps us concentrate. So it's a good idea to provide the child with some fidgets that he likes to use, which will help him concentrate when he's taking these online classes. This could be the flipping of a lid, or it could be a fidget spinner that you get, or it could be a pen. He could be putting, opening and closing the pen. Maybe any of these things that the child likes can be used as fidgets. There are a lot of educational resources on the internet. So parents and caregivers can go along with the child and do various activities on some of these sites that I've mentioned. Starfall is a wonderful site. It has a lot of resources on reading. Same for Jacob Listens For math games, they have some wonderful games, and in fun way, children can learn math. Scholastic is a wonderful site for reading and reading comprehension. So these are just some of the sites that I've mentioned that parents and children can visit and do a lot of activities. It's important to talk about COVID. There is no child who is young enough not to understand about the situation, right? They have been hugely impacted, right? It has caused a major disruption in their lives. Their schools are closed. They cannot meet their friends. They cannot meet their teachers. They cannot go out to play. Yeah. So they're hearing it about it in the news. So they definitely, all of them know about it, right? Sometimes we think that, just because the child is not expressing does not mean he's not it means that he's not understanding. It doesn't happen like that, right? Even if the child is not expressing, they are understanding a lot, right? So even if he may or he may not ask you questions, it's important to talk about COVID. It's important to talk about coronavirus. So describe it in concrete terms. Avoid use of flowery language, like he's under the weather, or he's caught the virus. Talk about in simple concrete terms that it is a virus, it is a germ, it is the germs are very tiny, we cannot see them with eyes, and when they go into our body, we fall sick. So talk about it in concrete, simple, positive terms, right? And minimize exposure to news, because there is a lot of information on the news which may be overwhelming. So try and keep the radio and TV news off, right? What you could do is use social stories and narratives. So social stories and narratives are basically um, uh, in very simple, concrete, positive language, talking about a social situation and what is expected from the autistic individual. What should be his response in a particular social situation is what they tell the person, right? So I've given two examples of social stories here. Like this one here is about coronavirus, why the child should be washing his hands, etc. So in very simple, positive language, the child comes to know about the situation, right? So, like it says, right now, lots of people are getting sick with coronavirus. Doctors are working hard to keep everyone healthy. I need to keep myself safe and healthy too. School is closed, so students and teachers can stay healthy. While school is closed, it is important for everyone to stay at home. While I'm at home, I can play, look at books, and learn. So you see, it is telling the child about the situation. What is he supposed to be doing? I also need to wash my hands a lot with soap and water, and this will help keep me and my family healthy. So in very, very positive, very, very simple, concrete terms, it is telling about the situation and what the individual should be doing. So you should to cook, right? So this is the time parents can be encouraged, parents can be told that they can help their children to brush, to eat, uh, to help the children brush, eat, bathe independently, right? These are very, very important life skills. Even if he does not know a bit of academics but is independent, he will be able to do better in life, right? People will be able to take care of him when parents are not there. So it's important to practice life skills to enhance his communication skills, right? What happens is that many a times we say that children use the same words. That's because we give them only that much vocabulary. This is the time that parents can work on communication. So, whatever the parents are doing, suppose they are cooking, they can talk about what they are doing. So, they can say that I'm mixing, I'm kneading, I'm adding, I'm removing, this is spicy. Whatever they are doing, if they're doing dusting, they can talk about it, right? So these are important words that can be given to the children, right? If the child has difficulties in dressing, this is the time that we teach him the skills. So we parents, teachers can talk to parents. They can tell them that they can break the task into um, subtasks, into smaller subtasks, and teach all these tasks through physical prompting, hand on hand prompting, right? And fading off their prompt for the last step, what's backward chaining basically, right? So tell the parents that this is how they can do help the child to dress independently, right? Skills like how do I choose my dresses is what you can talk about now. Why do I wear this kurta with this salwar? It's matching. These are contrasting. Again, the whole language that you're giving the child, right, is very very important. We It's a good idea to wear not a very thick t-shirt today. It's been raining. The sun is not going to be out, right? Let's wear a thinner t-shirt, right? So all these important skills can be taught to the child now. Cleaning up, right, after say playing, it's an important skill. So again, you can talk to parents about teachers can talk to parents about making it musical, right? Children with autism are uh, are very musically minded, right? So you can talk about, they can sing a song, like time to put your toys away, and they can sing so that the child understands that whenever she's singing, it means um, my toy time, my play time is going to finish, is going to end, right? You can give them different boxes, and again make the boxes visual. So all the cars will go in one box, all the balls will go in one box, all the blocks will go in one box, right? So again the child is doing sorting, right, when he is when he's putting his toys away, right? Similarly, cleaning after a meal is a very very important skill. So stacking all the plates together, stacking all the glasses together, taking them to the sink, rinsing them, uh, taking the white cloth, washing it, squeezing it, wiping the table with it, putting it for drying are very, very important skills, right? And the earlier we begin, the better it will be. So don't, again, it's important for parents not to think that my child is too little. अभी उसके साथ नहीं शुरू करना चाहिए, but start early, right? For cooking, again, a lot of skills that can be given while you are teaching him to prepare meals. All these skills that are used in maths, right? Add, take out, addition and subtraction. He's learning it when he's preparing a meal, understanding fractions when you're preparing a meal, right? Talking about this is too much, add a little less. These are all words that are used in maths, all pre math concepts, which he is learning while he's learning an important skill of cooking. So encourage the child to prepare meals, right? It could be, and also preparing meals independently. It could be just like say putting cornflakes in milk, um, and uh, uh, it gives such a boost to their self esteem when they are preparing their own snack, right? And initially he could do it for himself, and later on he could do it for the entire family. And it's important to give children responsibilities. Like I said, no child is too young to not take up responsibilities. So it could be serving the food. Right now, you are serving food for the child. Later on, he could serve food for himself. And later on, he could learn to serve food for everyone. Taking out garbage, loading the machine, right? Or taking clothes out after the machine has had a run, or feeding the pet, or charging mobiles, right? Every time your mobile is discharged, its battery is getting low, tell the child to charge the mobile. Or every time before he goes to sleep, he's got to put everyone's mobile or every iPad or whatever is at home, all the electronics at home for charging. Or watering plants. Again, you could give them visuals. Like you see a visual here of of the child, how he can water the plants. So you can see that there are matching cards on the pot as well as the flask, right? So he knows that ye wala flask is going to be used for this pot, right? And you can see there are very clear lines on the measuring flask, so that he knows that itna pani mujhe bhana hai, to fill this much water, and this water will go in this pot. The flowery measuring flask will go in the flower pot with the flower on it, right? So visually, it is clear to him as to which pot is going to be watered by which flask, how much water will go in each flask, right? Also, a to-do list here, as you can see, about making a snack. So he knows that he has to collect. Looking at this visual, he knows that he has to collect his crackers. He has to fill his cup with water, and he has to be taking a banana, and his snack is ready, right? So provide them visuals. If the child understands written language, you can provide him a written to-do list. If the child understands objects, you can give him an object to-do list, right? um, this is again a visual recipe. So initially, so all these are steps that are written, and initially the parent and the child can do the recipe together. After they have done a step, they can put a tick mark and move to the next step. And once the child is able to do it along with the parent can leave it for the child to do independently, right? So he learns to make his own sandwich independently, which is a very, very important task. Social outlets. Provide the child with social outlets. Children with autism may have difficulties with interaction, social interactions, but it's a myth that they don't like to interact. They love to interact. They enjoy seeking out social interactions. So, see if parents can see if they can provide them a means to communicate with their relatives or their siblings or their classmates. Again, they can give them a to-do list for a virtual time that he's going to be having. So if I'm going to be having a FaceTime with my daddy, what is it that I'm going to be doing? What are the steps that are going to be involved? Can be given to him visually, right? You can have his he and his friends have a tambola game together. See if you can arrange for virtual play dates, right, where the child is sitting with his set of toys and his friend is sitting with his set of toys and they're playing together, right, virtually. So see if that could be done. Also, there are a lot of kids who are disappointed because their plans are being cancelled, right, because of this whole situation. So maybe what parents can do is that they can make a list of all the activities that were planned so that the child knows that wo hongi, they will happen. Maybe when the situation is over, these activities will happen. We have not forgotten about them. So make a list of all of these activities, right, that were initially planned. Also, there are a lot of sites, a lot of virtual tools that are available. Like I know there's Animal Planet offering webcams, animal webcams, where children can, and also tours to the zoo. So children can virtually visit a zoo. If you cannot go physically there, they can virtually visit a zoo or visit a museum if that is what interests them, or visit places. Google Art and Culture is offering a lot of sites, a lot of places where children can go, right? So see if the child is interested in that. That is something that parents can do. They can go for virtual train rides. Yeah, a lot of these things are available nowadays. Virtual concerts are available. If they are interested in music, a lot of virtual concerts are happening, right? So the parent can see and give options to children. And again, these activities can be put up on the calendar so that there is something that he can look forward to, right? A lot of screen time is happening, right? So it's important to make screen time intentional. What I mean is that establish time and spaces where he's going to be doing his online thing. Right, like we talked about his online classes, we will give him a place to sit. It will be put up in his calendar, right? If he's going to be having a game time, if he likes to play games on the iPad or on the mobile or the computer, give him time for that, but um, kind of tell him how much time will he be spending on it, right? So again, you could do with the help of visual supports. Like here you can see the child knows that I'm going to be playing 3 games, right? So one game, put the timer on for 5 minutes. We talked about the visual timer earlier. Put it on for 5 minutes. Once the timer goes off, your first game is going to get over. We'll put it in a finished pocket here and then do our second game, right? Again, put the timer on for 5 7 minutes, whatever has been decided, right? If you think the child understands, you can write it here, right? So it is clear to him that after 3 activities are done, my iPad time is over, right? Exercise. We know the importance of exercise. It helps each one of us, right? It releases happy hormones. Yeah, it makes us feel calmer, right? So try and establish a basic exercise routine. There are a lot of parents who say that since lockdown day he seems to be even more hyperactive, right? He's jumping around, he's always running. It's so difficult for me. And that is primarily because the child has had no physical outlet, right? He's all the time inside the house, right? He has a lot of energy. His energy needs to be channelized. So try and establish some basic exercise routines, right? Also, we know that children, autistic individuals, have a lot of sensory concerns, right? The sensory system is dysregulated, right, for most of them, right? So exercise helps them regulate their senses. It calms down their nervous system. Therefore, it is very, very important to give them some kind of an exercise during the day. So it could be physical exercises, it could be carrying heavy loads, it could be crashing into pillows, it could be playing with ball, it could be climbing the steps up and down, pushing or pulling things, anything that the child is interested in. Provide him these activities so that he's calmer, his anxiety is taken care of as he feels happy, right? Also, what parents can do is that they can decide on an animal pose, that we are going to be monkey for the rest of our day today, right? And whenever they are taking a break, they turn into a monkey, right? Or they become into a butterfly. Whenever we are tired, we are finding it difficult to concentrate, let's become a butterfly, right? And do it in a lot of fun so that the child would want to do it, right? And once you start doing it, it becomes a part of the child, right? So he will do it even if you're not doing it. If the child is interested, you could help him wear a Fitbit. You can wear a Fitbit and count daily steps, right? And then see, do it as a competition. किसके steps ज़्यादा हुए, कौन ज़्यादा चला है, right? And again reinforce that. A lot of online app-based workouts are available. Like this, I know of this. I've personally been to Planet Fitness, and I know they give very simple and very easy 20-minute workouts, right? And that is something that you can do easily with your child. So put the camera on, put the mobile on, um, do it for 15 20 minutes, as long as your child is willing to do, and you are doing it along with him. So he's also learning imitation skills, which are very, very important. So go onto these sites and see what works for you, right? If you have a small balcony, if the parents have a small balcony, you could also suggest teachers can suggest them of um, of a again a to-do list for walk, right? He could be having a walk in the balcony, right? Now how many times am I going to be walking in the balcony? It can be clear through this to-do list, right? So he knows that there are 10 rounds that he's going to be doing, right? So parents can actually place table center of the balcony. The child walks, takes a turn around the table, and comes back and puts a tick mark or pulls this card out, whatever the child is best able to do. Pull this card out and put it in the finished pocket, right? So he knows, and it is clear to him that through this to-do list, it's clear to him that he has to take 10 rounds, and once 10 rounds are finished, his walk time will be finished. Initially, parents can start with 1 or 2 rounds, physically prompt the child, and as the child is able to do it independently and enjoys it, they can increase the number of rounds. Also, say for when he's climbing the steps up and down. So if you have steps in your house, he's climbing the steps, he's going up and down, you could make it a lot of fun. What parents could do is, if the child like puzzles, most of our autistic individuals, they do like puzzles, right? So if the child likes puzzles, what they could do is they could put the puzzles on the on down, and they could put the puzzle frame um, on the top, right, on the top of the steps, right, and the child could pick up one puzzle piece, climb up the steps, put it in the frame, come back uh, for the second puzzle piece, right. So this way he would enjoy this whole activity. We're using his interest to build on this, build on newer activities, right. So he will be wanting to do, right. So try and see how creatively you can use the child's special interest and make him do newer activities. Give him a choice board. Like I had said earlier, these are very, very challenging times, right? For a child with autism, everything seems to be out of control. There's nothing in my control. So, wherever possible, give him choices. So, while exercising, you can give him a choice. Parents can create a very simple choice board. They can write down if he understands written words. If he understands pictures, then they can put pictures, and the child can choose what exercise would he want to do. Right, so it gives him a sense of control. Right, so that is something that can be tried out. Um, it's important to prioritize coping and calming strategies. Like I had said earlier, some individuals with autism may have anxiety, may have depression as comorbid conditions, right? Also, these signs are very challenging, right? There is a lot of anxiety that not only children are having, we are all having. So, it's a good time to practice meditation, to practice calming skills. You know, also one more thing is that people with autism, they may have very intense emotion, they may have big emotions, they may find it difficult to regulate, self-regulate their emotions, right. So it's a good time to co-regulate emotions with them during this period when you are at home with the child, right. So again, giving them a to-do list so that they know as to how many activities they have to do, in what sequence they have to do. Initially, you will do it along with them, and later on, the child can do it on his own if he's given this work system, right? So he knows that he has a prayer time. Then he has to chant Om for 5 times. Then he will be doing meditation for a minute. So it's important to start small and create that ambience, create that situation so you can, make the room dark, put on some agarbatti, put on some candles. It will give him that sensory input also that he seeks, right? And put the meditation music only on for 1 minute and gradually build on it, right. So work on these things. Practice mindfulness. Again, it's easy for children to be mindful because they are not there in past or they're not there in future, they're usually in the present, right. And mindfulness is about understanding your body, understanding your environment in the present, being in present, right. So children don't find it very difficult now, we find it more difficult. So it's time to that you can practice mindfulness with them, because if we start now, then it will become a part of him. If you're going to do it 10 years later or 12 years later when he's an adult, it will be very difficult, right. So practice mindfulness now. So talk about what are the 5 things that you see sitting out in the balcony. Tell him that we are going to be seeing, we are going to be observing for 2 minutes, and calmly let him observe and say, what were the 5 things that you saw? Tell me the 3 things that you heard. Tell me the one thing that you could smell. Right? So proactively work on calming and coping skills. Also, like I was saying earlier, they're visual learners, provide them things visually. So if the child is having a difficulty with managing his big emotions, then provide him a calming routine. So this is an example of a calming routine. Again, it can be individualized, it will be different for different learners, but this is an example. So take 4 deep breaths. Yeah. Clench fist 4 times, count to 10, and this is good job done, right. So again, um, this is something that you would have to work on, parents would have to work on proactively, right. So when the child is having big emotions, that is not the time to teach him. But when he's calm, then you would actually teach him this calming routine, right? So it's not that the days he's having a meltdown or a shutdown, when he's exploding, is the time that is the day that we are going to be doing this calming routine, but we are going to do it as a part of his schedule. We are going to be doing this relaxation as a part of what his daily life, daily routine is going to be like, right? So that he learns these skills and is able to practice them when he's having a hard time, right? Again, there are a lot of apps available, free apps available that parents, caregivers can look into, like this Calm, Headspace, Breathe to Relax. Again, I've used with my children some of these apps, and they're really wonderful. So parents can look for these free apps and do meditation and mindfulness, and provide their children with calming and coping strategies, right? These are testing times. Again, like I said earlier, we want to give them choices wherever possible, and it's not only true. All the things that I'm saying are not true only for autistic individuals. They will help any family, any child, right? It's time that their anxieties are high. Uh, we understand. We have a lot of understanding, so we are trying to calm ourselves down. But many of us are even many. I know many of us are also very anxious about this whole situation. So offer children choices. It will give them a sense of autonomy, it will give them motivation, it will give them some kind of a control in this out of control situation. So ask them, what is it that you want to eat, what exercise would you want to do, what would you want to do in creative time, what would you want to dress, or what would you want to wear, what movie would you want to watch, all right? What snack would you want to make? Um, so wherever possible, give them choices. Building on their special interests, like I had said, individuals with autism have some wonderful special interests, right? And through their special interests, you can really motivate them to learn other skills also, right? So build on their special interests. It's more important that parents work on these skills, because these are going to be future leisure skills, right? So if the child likes to listen to music, think of maybe him playing an instrument. A lot of classes again are available on the YouTube, so he can actually learn to play an instrument during these times. He can make a scrapbook about his favorite songs, or a presentation about his favorite song. He can find out all about his favorite singer or his favorite musician, and make a PowerPoint and talk to his friends about it, or talk to his family about it. So he's also learning important computer skills, right? Surfing the YouTube, going for a virtual concert are some of the other things that you can do if he's interested in music. If he likes food, some of our children are really interested in food, right? You can teach him cooking. Like I said, you talk about all the things that you're doing. You're giving him maths concepts. You're giving him new enriched vocabulary. So teach him to cook. They're important life skills, right? He can look for web. He can surf the web for recipes. He can, save images of his favorite foods. Again, make a presentation about it. Talk to his grandparents about it. Talk to his friends about it. And this way, his social skills, his social interaction is worked on. He has a topic to talk to his parents or grandparents or his friends about, right? Now, watching TV shows, cookery shows, country-wise cuisines, right? And that this is how he'll start getting interested in other countries. So you can, widen his scope of interest by doing all these activities, right? You can, make it fun. Take 4 ingredients and say, what is the recipe that we can make today? Let's try. We have only these 4 ingredients. So ये 4 ingredients के साथ let's see what best we can make, and discuss and talk, and talk about things that go together, things that don't taste well together. Do a lot of this, right? If he's interested in arts and craft, think of painting, think of him knitting, crocheting, origami, quilling, doodling, comic book art. There is a lot of things that are available screen, yeah, on YouTube. So see if the child is interested and see how you can build on it further. Important to give him playtime. Um, you know, like I had said, children with autism sometimes have a dysregulated sensory system. So you can give him sensory play. Sensory play is when the senses are involved and it's a lot of fun. So children with autism absolutely love this sensory play. So whatever material is available at home, if they have dal at home, if parents have rice at home, they can put this into a tub, give it to the child, put in some, some stuff in it. And let the child play with it, and while the parent is engaged in having their meetings, the child can be sitting in front of them with the stub, and he'll be engaged in it without, you will be able to do your stuff while the child is engaged. So like you can see here, there are insects. So if the child likes insects and you have some insects at home, rubber insects at home, you can bury them in dal and he can take them out, and then you can put the dal for drying. You could actually copy, simulate a real life situation. Yeah, that's what we do sometimes. जब दाल में कीड़ा लग जाता है हम क्या करते हैं, कीड़े को निकालते हैं और धूप में सुखाते हैं, right? So talk about these things. Rubber snakes can be put in stones, and then he can pick these rubber snakes with the help of tongs and put them in a bottle, right? So again, make it a lot of fun, and then later on the child will, once he's interested, he'll get hooked onto it and he would want to play with it, right? These water beads, you get them easily on Amazon and Flipkart and all these online sites. They swell up, right? You put them in water and they swell up, and it gives a lot of input, when the child is burying his hands or burying his feet into a tub of these water beads. It gives him a lot of sensory input. It really helps calm their senses down, right? So try and give them opportunities like this, and again give them a lot of language, right? You're talking about colorful beads, about see-through beads, about transparent beads, yellow beads, red beads. A lot of language can be worked on when you're playing with this. uh, this one here is basically a dumper truck, right? So you could be placed at one end of the room, he could be placed at the other end of the room, and you could send him a truckload of stones and some marbles in it, and he can you know dump out this in a tub, right? And then he can sort out for these marbles. He can look out for these marbles, which again make it a lot of fun. Talk about these being as jewels, and he's doing some kind of a mining. So make it interesting and related to a real life situation. Bird feed, you get this easily again. So you could put the bird feed. If you have small animals in home, you could feed the animals, and then once the animals are fed, they can go back into their homes, right? Like here. And he's also learning one-to-one correspondence, right? Another important math skill. So while you're working, while you're giving him sensory play, there are a whole lot of other skills that are being worked on simultaneously. To play independently again is a very very important skill. So like I said initially, all those sensory tubs could be later on turned into independent play activities. Also, like I was saying, children with autism are visual learners. They're very good with matching and sorting. That's again a strength for most of them, and we want to capitalize on their strengths. So you could give them a lotto board like this. Structure it a little bit so that it's in a it becomes a self-contained activity, right? And all the cards that he has to match are kept in a tub, in a container on the left, and on the right is the lotto board. He has to pick up and match, right? So all these questions, मुझे कितना करना है, ये कब खत्म होगा, right? All these questions are answered when he sees this. So initially you may have to prompt him to physically do it, and once he will understand, he can do it on his own, right? Again, this is a very simple activity that parents can make. um, the ball is kept here. The child puts the ball inside this container. It rolls down. Again, you can make this whole rolling a lot of fun. You could put different kinds of things on this rolling thing. We've put blocks, we've put beads so that the child can actually see the rumbling of the ball and it finally lands inside the box. Right? Playing turn taking. Again, this is a very, very important concept, turn taking. We use turn taking for all our social communication is turn taking, right? When you're talking, I'm listening. When I'm listening, you are talking. I'm waiting for my turn to speak, right? These are very, very important skills, and children with autism may find it difficult, right? So you could teach them through this simple turn taking game. So working on turn taking, you're working on waiting, and you're also playing with the child, right? You're socially engaging with the child, right? Which sometimes an autistic child may not know, right? So you basically, again, you see, structure it a little bit, because they really understand it well when it's structured. Put in whatever the stuff parents have at home, they can use that. So suppose they have dice, parent can put in a dice and then the child can put it on dice, and then parents can put in a dice and then the child can put in a dice, right? And they can also talk about it. They can talk about colors while doing it, right? Or they can talk about numbers while they're doing it. They can put water into this container, so it makes even more interesting. Most children love water, right? So they can do activities like this. They can do activities like this here. If they have boats, they can make paper boats. If they don't have plastic boats, parent and child can make paper boats, and they can, if there's water in a tray, they can take turns to put their boats inside, right? Again, this is a game which is based on matching. So it's very, very clear, visually clear, as you can see in the picture here. It's visually clear for him to wait when the container is. So you are sitting on one side, the child is sitting on one side, you are sitting, or the sibling, or whoever, or his grandparent, whoever is sitting. He's playing with them. So he knows when the container of these cards is not in front of him, it is time for him to wait, and that wait is there visually for him to see, right? So once you match, you will give him the container. He will take a card and match it to one of these pictures here and give it back to you, right? So he's learning to wait, he's learning to take turns. And again, all the vocabulary, all the pictures that you are matching, you can talk about them, right? This is also a simple turn taking game. If the child is interested in car, he can send you, so he can paste, he can put on a shape and roll the car towards you. And when the car comes, again, visually very clear, you will stop the car, he will stop the car, you will take out a shape, match it to the jig, match it to the visual shapes that are in front of you, put a shape for him and roll it towards him, right? So again, you're building on play, right? First he was interested only in the car, now he's beginning to get interested in shapes also, right? So that's how you build on play. You can hang a basketball if you have at home, or you can make one with a hanger, with an old hanger, and just put a plastic bag around it and cut the plastic bags in so that it becomes a kind of a basket, right? And hang it from a place, and the child and his sibling can have a basketball game. So again, give him this turn taking chart so that it is clear to him as to what is he supposed to be doing, right? How many turns will he be taking? So first it will be Vivek's turn, then Rahul's turn. We'll be playing 4 more rounds, and when 4 rounds are over, my game will get over, right? So it's visually clear to him. Snakes and ladder can be very demotivating, because every time the child makes an attempt to go up, to to move up, he's bitten by a snake and he just comes down. So instead, start with a game like this. Adapt this simple snakes and ladder game. Have more ladders. Put in some items of food if the child enjoys food, and you will see that the child will be motivated to play this, right? So parents can adapt the simple games that they have at home so that the child is motivated to play, right? These are some more activities, very, very simple activities with the stuff that parents have at home. They can engage the child, right? So creating a hopscotch for the child, to play in the balcony, or a simple one here. If you see, basically wherever the parent is keeping his steps, so you see these rectangles, wherever the parent is keeping his steps, the child also has to copy. So it's a great game for imitation, great game for motor movement, right? And a lot of fun that's happening, a lot of engagement that he's having with his parents, right? So initially, the parent could be showing the child where to place his foot, and then the parent can be copying the child, right? This is similar here. There are, except that there are colors here, right? Lot of children like to tear paper, but then what to do with the torn paper, right? Make it meaningful, make it into an activity. So just by taking a cardboard and cutting out a stencil, the child can be independently engaged in making a collage, right? Take paper plates, make holes in it, and the child can be rolling the ball, right? So it's a great way to enhance his eye-hand coordination. All the skills that we want to, work. We parents have been wanting to work on, right? This one here, the this activity is basically putting a paper, a strip of paper in and out, right? So this is how the loom works. This is how a stitching mat works, right? We put the needle in and then it comes out, and it goes in again, right? So work on pre-vocational skills by giving these simple activities at home, right? You can see here the child is blowing. He's blowing out the paint, right, to make this figure's hair, right? So again, you're working on important oromotor activities, on blowing skills. Very, very important to have unplugged time. Not every minute of the day needs to be accounted for. The child requires some downtime. Even we require, for us to, rejuvenate ourselves, to replenish our energy, we need to have some unplugged time. So make sure that there are enough breaks, there is enough downtime for the child, right? Also very, very important for the parents to take, to be engaged in self-care, right? Like we know that these are difficult times, and this is uncharted waters. The parent has to take care of the house, the parents have to take care of the family, they have to clean without any help, they have to cook, they're constantly engaged, right? So it's important for parents to take some time to be engaged in activities that they like to do, right? If they like to talk to somebody, they like to see a film, they like to do stitching, they like to read a book, parents must keep some time for themselves. It's important for them to maintain a sleep hygiene and proper nutrition, especially the mother, right? It's very, very important that she has a proper sleep hygiene and she is connected with her own support networks, right? If she wants to talk to the teachers, she does not know what to do. It's important for her to connect with other parents, with teachers, whomever she's more comfortable with. Very, very important for parents to take care of their stress, because children mirror the parents' feelings. If parents are stressed, children are bound to be stressed. So it's very, very important that parents are relaxed, parents are stress free. Otherwise, children will also feel, anxious and feel stressed, right? It's important for parents to be patient, you know, be consistent, but be patient. It will take a lot of time, right? Um, and it's important for parents not to judge themselves. They need to remind themselves that they are doing the best of what they can given their resources. And also to remember that children are resilient, right? They will weather this challenge too, they will bounce back, right? So that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, ma'am, for your informative sessions. It was very useful. The listeners from varied disciplines had been listening to your presentation. We had special educator, we had a physiotherapist, occupational therapist, clinical psychologist, some parents, and even our student trainees were part of this. and I think the suggestions with activities have been more useful for them. And now we will go to a question answer session, ma'am. Can we go for our question answer session?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes. Now I would like to request even Sujata ma'am to be active, like, ma'am, Sujata ma'am, can you join us? Yes, ma'am. Yes, we have Kamraj sir also online. Sir, please join us. We'll have question answer session. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, this is a question to Sujata ma'am. How much mandatory for any special education institution that they have to have universal design setup? Ma'am, I repeat the question. How much mandatory for any special education institution that they must have universal design setup? Ma'am, ma'am, could you hear my question, ma'am? Or maybe Kamaraj sir can join us in explaining this question. How much mandatory for any special education institution to have universal design setup?
Very good question.
Very good question. The universal design is mandatory for each and every places for the benefit of our access or to make it very inclusive in the society. So it is not exceptional to the special education institute. So as much as possible, we have to keep on work and then look into all the aspect to make it barrier free and inclusive. So the minimum program that is that we immediately have to work on the barrier free features, that is accessibility features on the infrastructure, the classroom, use of classroom and other places, and the curricular aspect, that is the whether it can go for that accommodation or modifications, the curricular aspect. So these are all the immediate concern where we have to work on. So rest all will be followed. That parallelly we need to work and then make all the environment as very inclusive. Am I answerable to this question?
So
Yes, sir.
further,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
can I add up here?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, University UGC New Delhi, they have also instructed all the institutes to start equal opportunity cell, and they have also requested to form internal committee for students with disabilities in higher education. A parent should be included in the committee, a person with disabilities, that is student with disabilities in higher education, and the staff members. So that their physical inaccessibility, accommodation, or if they face any challenges in the higher education system, it will be addressed through that internal committee. And equal opportunity cell is also there, functioning in each and every institute. So it will also take care of all accessible possibilities for children with disabilities to get equal opportunity and universal design for them to accommodate diverse learners at higher education level. Thank you.
Help us. Sanshi ma'am, can you the question? Please describe challenges during exam in inclusive schools for ASD student. Ma'am, did you get the question, ma'am? Sudhanshu ma'am? Yeah, that's a question. Ma'am, unmute your. Yes, ma'am.
I heard your question, yes. For ASD students, basically some of the challenges that they may have during examination is that, for them to understand this whole concept of an exam, it in itself might be challenging, right? So why am I being tested? When I know the answers, why should I be telling the answers to my teachers, right? So they may have questions like this in their mind, right? So it's important. Uh, Also, like I was talking about understanding that the time management, right? In exams, we have to do in a particular time. So for them to keep up to that time, for them to be able to understand that if I don't know this question, I can go to the next question. That may be difficult. They may be so stuck on a particular question that they do not know that an alternative exists, a plan B exists. If I don't know this question, I can move to plan B, which is going to the next question, right? So basically it will be good to give a child with autism, an individual with autism, some mock exams, right? Talk to him about it. Tell him that you will be doing starting small, just giving him some basic objective type questions, and then moving to bigger question papers which require more time. Some may have difficulties, specific difficulties with writing, right? Their handwriting may not be understood. They may not have a clear legible handwriting. So of course, like ma'am had been talking about it, Sujata ma'am had been talking about it, maybe they would require some kind of accommodations there, that maybe they are given a computer, or they are given a writer, right? For some of them, it may be very challenging to give exams, especially when they go to higher classes and they have to sit in different classrooms. Then they may not know that, again, it's a new place. So, what am I going to be doing in this new place? So, some of them may have difficulties with that, right? So, it's important sometimes, like I know CBSE gives this option of taking an individual's, relative along, or even the NIOS gives this option of taking a familiar teacher, or a parent who can be sitting in the room, far away from him, but in that room, so that he is more comfortable. So these are some of the challenges autistic individuals may find. I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, one more question. Maybe you can help us. Question on should there be a different report card for children who have modified curriculum? Should there be a different report card for children who have modified curriculum?
You would want me to answer this question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like,
I would say, yeah.
Or maybe like we'll have like you add on, ma'am. We'll have Sujata ma'am and Kamraj sir to add on to that.
I feel personally the report card, if that is different for all individuals, the way report card has been and the way the education system has been, it is not really helping any learner, right? So I think the whole education system, if that can be changed, if the report card and the examination system can be changed, it will benefit all learners, right? Certainly for a child with ASD, I think many of them are able to cope. Many of them are able to cope because intellectual, unless and until they have some intellectual disability, they have mental retardation alongside, then that's a different situation. But most of them have above average IQs, right? And they are able to cope well in um, in a situation in a school situation, right? So if their report card can talk about some of the challenges that they been having, like the social interaction, or talking about some of the skills, beautiful skills that they have. Some of them are very good in drama, some of them are very good in music. So if the report highlights on their strengths, on specific challenges that they may have, on what their preferences are, what their needs are, and how is that changing year after year. I think that will be a more beneficial report. It will give more understanding to parents and caregivers and the future teachers also who refer to that report. That gives a better understanding than the report that is usually there in schools. So that is my take on that. Sujata ma'am, please feel free to add more.
Yeah, 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 yes, ma'am. I will agree with you. So they need to have a holistic report card, not as usual that they are giving in the normal classroom. So if you consider the children with the autism spectrum or different children with specific learning difficulties, they will be having extra talents or different talents. So that has to be also addressed in the report card, which gives a strength to them so that the child will be able to succeed in different aspects. The holistic view has to be reported in a report card. So it will be very useful if they have extracurricular activities into it, their talent and everything it has to be added.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And we will stop the session by this. Ma'am, any more questions you would like to pick up from the slide and answer, ma'am?
So in every aspect, they are talking about the same thing. So
Okay.
what about the exam pattern? Whether the children will be able to go for online examination, and whether is there any changes in the curriculum? Is there any controlling authority of special education related to appointment of special educator, curriculum, exam pattern, inclusive setup?
Okay,
So
ma'am. Okay. So then
overall, in higher
with this
education,
will
the concept of higher
uh,
education at higher education level, diverse learners' needs has to be effectively met. And for that, overall answer is they have to get differentiated instruction. They have to have an assistive and adaptive devices, methods, materials to cope with their unique needs. And there should be a choice for alternative testing system and overall holistic measurement of the student has to be taken care so that the educational standards at higher education level will be achieved effectively by the diverse learners. So that
yes.
has to be ensured. And for that, a holistic approach is important. And the special educators, general educators, and administrators, educational professionals, everybody has to uh, hold on hand to make them to succeed in the higher education level.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. That was more of a concluding statement. You made my work
Yeah.
easy now. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I will move on to the vote of thanks now. I sincerely thank our resource persons, Dr. Sujata Malini Madam, from Associate Professor from Alagappa University, and Mrs. Sudhanshu Grover from AFA. Thank you so much for your contributions on this platform. It was very useful, and we had enough information to carry over regarding the diverse learners and their needs. And we'll be having a continuation of this session tomorrow, and that will be having more enlightenment on different aspects on diverse learners and their needs. I will be the listeners will be having more enriching sessions by other two resource persons waiting as well to present next day. Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot for accepting our invitation and presenting it, and it was very useful, ma'am. Thank you again.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
thank the
Yeah,
director
thank
and special education department faculty for giving us this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
yeah, dear participants, we are coming to a conclusion of the first day of the national webinar. I hope you all had a very fruitful sessions, and the question and answer sessions, we had interesting questions asked by a few participants, and the feedback forms for the webinar will be posted tomorrow. Tomorrow, I request all of you to join by 10 o'clock. We'll have two more speakers to present. And concluding to that, we'll have again a question and answer session. Please join at 10 o'clock. We'll see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.